everyone, my name is Amber. Welcome back to my channel, Amber Reads Romance. Today I am finally here with a trope recommendation video. I need to get more of these up to you guys, but today I'm going to be going over some of my favorite friends to lovers romances. Okay guys, so I am kind of picky when it comes to friends to lovers. I feel like a lot of books just tell us how much they are, how close they are, and we don't really get to see that evolution of like a friendship and see how deep their friendship is to moving to lovers. Or, you know, we're just, I don't know. It's just, I need to see them fall for each other. I need to see that friendship slowly evolve into something more. That's something I kind of always love about the childhood friends to lovers, because we get to see them like really grow from like childhood friends to start to have these other feelings for each other. I just love that in friends to lovers. So I don't read a ton of friends to lovers, but I have been trying to read more the last couple years. And so I wanted to get a video up with some of my favorites. I know most people read enemies to lovers. I honestly don't think I've even done an enemies to lovers video. Maybe I have, I can't remember, but I'll try and get one up. I just feel like that market's so oversaturated with, they call everything enemies to lovers now, but that's a rant for another day. Okay, so these are going to be some of my favorite friends to lovers. I do have a bigger list, so maybe another video will be coming soon, but these are some of my favorites. So if you are new to my channel, welcome. Hopefully you enjoy this video. I do weekly wrap-ups, men of the month wrap-ups, I vlog, and I also am trying to be better at doing these trope recommendation videos. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, leave me a like, comment down below. Let's go ahead and dive into these. So the first one that I want to bring up was actually one of my favorite reads. It was a 6-star book for me. I think it was 2023. Let me look. Oh, no, it was 2024. Okay. Sorry. So anyways, this ended up being a 6-star book for me because I loved it so much. And that is You and Me by Tal Bauer. This is actually the only book I've read by him, and I need to read more because I love romance. And I think this is one of the most beautiful romances that packs so much emotion into it. And, you know, it's kind of a bi awakening or whatever for one of the characters. One of the characters is already out, you know, he's out gay. They both have teenage sons, and they form this amazing friendship. So in this, we have Luke, and he is actually, I think he lost his wife like a year ago. And so he's dealing with that, but also with his relationship with his teenage son is not good. And he really is trying to mend it. He was kind of left out of a lot of the fun stuff, like the sports and all this stuff, because the mom would say that was their thing and that he should just like whatever. So he kind of felt like he was pushed off to the side, but his son feels like neglected by his father, when really he does care so much about his son and he really wants a better relationship with him. So he's actually on a football team, his son is, and so he is trying to go to the games, and his son is just like not even talking to him. And he runs into Landon, and Landon, let me make sure I got that. Yes, Landon is kind of like this amazing dad. He helps like with the, I think, what is it called? Okay, sorry, I was trying to remember what it was called, but it's like kind of like the Boosters Club for like the football team in high school. And so he sees Luke show up, and he's like, hey, you know, if you could join the Boosters Club, we're actually like very involved. We do fun events for the kids. We help set things up. And so it's a good way to show him that you're interested. And so he decides to sign up, and then him and Landon really get close. They become really good friends. They build like this amazing relationship, a good friendship, very supportive to each other. And, you know, like he's very open to different things, but he's kind of seeing an attraction for his new best friend. And he feels really uncomfortable with that at first because he doesn't understand why he's attracted to him. But also because this is actually his son's best friend's dad. So he doesn't want to explore anything and then like ruin things with his son, because this book is also such an emotional journey and growth of his relationship building and growing with his son. And so I loved how important that was in this book. It wasn't just like something to bring these two together. It was an active part of this book. But watching Luke and Landon just like really open up to each other, and they're kind of both crushing on each other a little bit. And so it is such a slow burn, but it is so beautiful. I think I cried a couple times in this book. Like, I just loved how perfect they were together. And then, it just was beautiful to watch Luke finally find somebody that was right for him and like that really appreciated him. So it was such a beautiful friendship that led to such deeper feelings and emotions between these two men. And it wasn't like this horrible angsty reveal when everybody finds out too. So it was just a very beautiful, feel-good type of book, and I absolutely highly recommend this one. It was a 6-star read for me. Okay, the next one I have is Funny Feelings by Tarah Dewitt. This is actually the only Tarah Dewitt I've read too, so I need to read more too, but this one was such an adorable friends to lovers. This is between Farley and Meyer, and she is actually a female comedian, and I just love that part of this book. She's like this really brash, kind of she just I just loved her. She was this great female comedian. And then Meyer is actually her best friend and manager. They've really become close. He's been her manager. He used to be a stand-up comedian. He has I think it's a daughter. Yes, he has a daughter, and she is deaf. And actually, like, one of the most beautiful things in here was, Farley's relationship with the daughter. She could speak sign language, and she immediately just like really bonded to her. And so they became super close friends. But they have been mutually pining after each other for years. Like, they've really like been into each other, but afraid to cross that line because they have such a great friendship, and he's her manager and everything like that. So what ends up happening is she gets this really big opportunity with other female comics, and like I don't know if they were doing a comedy tour or something, I can't remember, but they basically wanted her to do a fake dating thing to kind of draw the public's eye and opinion, like to add chatter and interest in their show. And so she ends up doing a fake dating thing with Meyer, and it's really hard for her and him because they have a lot of feelings for each other. So it was like a really amazing, slow burn, cute, sweet. It was just super feel good. I love this one so much. So I definitely recommend it. I think it's one of my top of friends to lovers, because they were so close and such like a little family already, that once they are like recognize and acknowledge their feelings for each other, it was just really beautiful. Okay, so kind of a mafia one that I wanted to bring up. It is not my favorite in the series, but I do love this series, and that is The Heir by Sophie Lark. This is the first book in the Kingmaker series. Honestly, like, I feel like you should read the previous series too, but this is the first book. So if you do want to start with the Kingmakers, you definitely can. This is the second generation series. So all these books right here, like the first generation, and then these are their kids. And what I loved about this series is that this is actually kind of like a school for mafia kids. So you think of like Hogwarts, but for mafia. There's like different houses type of thing, different groups that you could be in. The Heirs is like one of those group where they're going to be like the heir to the mafia empire. So they're going to be the upcoming Dawn, or Donna if it's a chick. And so in this, we actually have a friends to lover situation going on, but they had a lot of angst and almost love triangle stuff going on in this because somebody else, wants the female, and it made some complications between them. But in this, we have Leo and Anna, and they grew up together. They're very close. They've been friends their whole lives because their parents are all like part of this big found family. And, if one of my favorite, which is Stolen Heir, which is one of my favorites, and that's Anna is their kid. But anyways, there's a lot more complicated stuff that goes into the drama and in the mafia stuff going on in this from the previous series. So that's why I think it's important to read that first. But these two have been friends forever. They kind of mutually pine, but they're not willing to like ruin their friendship. But when they go to this school, Dean, who is kind of like basically considers Leo an enemy, he hates his family. He hates everything about him. He wants revenge for everything that happened to his family. And so he ends up setting his sight on Anna. And she starts to kind of date him, get involved with him. And that really like throws Leo off. Like he can't believe it because she has always been his best friend. This is his enemy. But also it's like he's having to acknowledge his feelings for her because they were basically not acknowledging that they loved each other already and not willing to go past those things. So this isn't my all-time favorite Friends to Lovers at all, but I really did enjoy this. And I think it's a great setup to the series. And it really leads, to some amazing next books, which Bully obviously is one of my favorites, which is Dean's romance. So I really did enjoy this one to kind of give you guys a mafia option for you if you want to read a mafia Friends to Lovers. Okay, so another one that I have, and it's another MM, and I don't think anybody would be surprised by this, but this is Him by Elle Kennedy and Serena Bowen. I fucking love this book so much. Like, I love it. I was sucked in. I got the hype for it. It's one of my favorite MM romances. I love this hockey romance as well. I really wish they would not have gone away from these beautiful covers. I had to buy these on like eBay because I didn't want the cartoon covers. But anyways, that's a side rant. This is a romance between Jamie and Ryan Wesley. He's known as Wes. And they have been best friends since they were kids. They would go to the same hockey camp together. Wes has been gay, but kind of like not out at that time telling anybody. And he's basically been in love with Jamie since they were kids. And he's really pined after him for years. And, Jamie has no clue. But they do kind of mess around, like do dares and, stuff. And he ends up kind of 1 year at camp. They kind of do this dare, to kind of mess around a little bit with each other. And they do. And Wes is like totally into it. And he feels bad. Like he kind of took advantage of Jamie by doing that dare. And so he feels very like guilty for that. And he kind of cuts off contact with Jamie, which Jamie doesn't understand why he did that. And so it's quite a few years later, they both were in college playing hockey in college, and they're about to go pro to the NHL. And so they kind of were both at the same hotel for games and whatever. And so Wes goes to kind of apologize to Jamie for totally cutting him off and cutting it out of his life. And so they really like talk and kind of hash it out a little bit. And then Wes has actually been coaching and helping out at that summer camp type of thing. And so Jamie decides to go do that. And so now they're both like being coaches and like counselors at that camp together. And so they are forced to kind of like talk about everything. And Jamie is very open to, experimenting. He's kind of like, whoa, like I'm attracted to Wes. I've never felt this way. And so he starts like watching gay porn and trying to figure out, am I really into this? And so him and Wes really start to like get together and fall for each other. This does continue with the book Us too. And I really loved that one too, because it dives deeper into their relationship when there are, he's playing pro hockey and all this stuff, because they are going to be going to different states or whatever, because they're both going to play pro hockey. So now they'll be split up. So there's kind of that conflict in it. But I love these two so much. There were so many swoony moments. It's sexy AF. I will say it again. MM romance has the sexiest scenes. Like, it's just hot. So this is one of my all-time favorite MM romances. And I love their friends to lovers relationship. Okay, so another one that I have is Fighting Silence by Martinez. Now, I read this a few years ago, so I won't know as much detail, but I just remember this being such a beautiful childhood friends to lovers. And it was one of my favorites because I think this spans like 8 years in their relationship. And in this, we have Till and Eliza, and they both came from like broken home, kind of like poor situations. And they became friends, I think, when they were like 13. And so they became really good friends. Till and he has a couple brothers, and he really ends up being like in charge of them too, because I think he ends up becoming their guardian a little bit later. Sorry, it is a little murky because it's been a few years, but he ends up kind of being their guardian, and him like, so they're all like this really beautiful found family. At one point, they all live in the same building. So it's like really this family between the 3 brothers and Eliza. They all really love her and just take care of her. So Eliza and Till grow up. You know, they go through those hormones, those changes, and they start to like really fall for each other. But Till is not going to go there, and he can be kind of frustrating, but he really didn't want to ruin their friendship. And because also like she was very important to his brothers, so he didn't want to ruin that. And then Till is actually diagnosed with where he knows that he is going to lose his hearing. And he's actually a boxer. So that's going to really affect his ability to box. There's so much that goes into that. And so he's literally fighting against time to fight and make enough money for his family to take care of his family. So that's a really emotional part of this story. And Eliza and him just have this amazing friendship that she's kind of like, let's pursue this, you know, and he keeps pushing her off. So it is a really big slow burn, but once they are together, it is so beautiful. I loved this so much. So if you're looking for a childhood friends to lovers that has more of emotional stuff going on, I think this one is really, really good. So I would definitely pick this one up. Okay, this one's kind of a friends to lovers with a little bit of a twist. This is very unique. I had never seen anything like this one. And this is Our Way by TL Swan. This is a chunkier book, so just be prepared. But I remember flying through it because it was super angsty and I was so intrigued. I had never read one like this. And this is between Nathan and Eliza. We have another Eliza. And Nathan and Eliza met when like their first day on the job. She was a nurse at the hospital and he was, I think, like a resident at the time. And they really hit it off. At first she's like, whoa, he's gorgeous, like I'm into him. But he basically kind of lets her know that he like dates men and he's into men. Although I don't think he ever like really refers to himself as gay or anything, but he is openly with men. And so they end up building this like really beautiful friendship, but they are a little codependent on each other to the point where it's kind of affected her meeting somebody because he like will sleep in her bed, spend days at her place, like they're always together. And so that's very intimidating and threatening to like a guy that wants to date you. So her friends are trying to tell her, you need to stop this, like you guys can't keep doing this, you need to be able to meet somebody. And so there's that kind of thing going on. Well, things take a twist because one time when she's like changing, trying to find this outfit for like whatever, I think it was an interview, I can't remember. And he's usually watches and nothing or whatever. And he gets turned on. Like he actually gets an erection and he's like turned on. He's like, what the fuck? Like he doesn't know where this came from. And so he's thrown for a loop because now it's opened up this thing in his mind. He can't stop thinking about her. He's constantly turned on by her. He's like, you know, really loves her. They have this years worth of friendship that he doesn't want to like go there with her and then ruin things. So he actually has a therapist and he's like kind of like working through that with his therapist, you know, to try and see if he's open to relationships with any woman, or is he like pansexual where he just loves the person. It's not about the sex. And so there's all that complicated stuff handled in this. And once she finds out that he's into her, she's really thrown for a loop because she's been in love with him for years, but knew like it could never happen. And so they decide to try and kind of make things work. There's a lot of insecurities that come into play because she thinks like, how can he be okay with just me if he's been with men for many years? So it tackled some different interesting things. And it was a lot of drama, a lot of angst, and it just like it sucked me in at the time when I read this. I haven't read this for a few years either, but I think it was a really great different take on a friends to lovers. Okay, so the next two are actually more recent reads. The next one I have is The Step Dare. This is by Riley Hart, and I think Devin, I can't remember. Sorry. The main author that I know was Riley Hart. But anyways, this is an stepbrothers type of romance, but they started out as like best friends. So in this, we have Brenner and Taylor. And Brenner and Taylor, they like live together. They go to college together. They're best friends. They're like very opposites, but they work so well together. They're very close and supportive of each other. So they have this really beautiful friendship. And Brenner is bisexual. He's out, about it. But Taylor's been kind of curious a little lately. He's kind of found Brenner to be attractive and kind of checking him out a little bit. And they always do these dares with each other. So like they kind of go about it this way because he's curious. And Brenner could tell that Taylor was getting curious with the questions he was asking. So they kind of dare to like kind of hook up. And so they do hook up, and it's pretty hot, and they are both into it. So they decide, hey, let's be friends with benefits. We're best friends. This is a safe place where like Taylor can explore his sexuality and his interests. And so they decided to start hooking up. Well, things kind of change when they realize that their parents are getting married. Now, what I loved about this was the relationship they both had with their parents, because Brenner's dad is a widower. His wife died quite a few years ago, and he had a really hard time with grief and like moving on. And then Taylor's mom was actually, his father was really emotionally abusive, and she got out of that relationship. So she had a really difficult time too. So both these kids just really want their parents to be happy. And so they don't want anything to come in the middle of this wedding, or marriage. So they decide to say, no, we can't do this sex anymore. We have to just be friends again. And that was really hard for them. They're living together, and they're really attracted to each other. And so, and they're not hooking up with anybody else. They're like still kind of hung up on each other. So they kind of decide to cheat the like not hooking up with each other type of thing by doing a threesome with one of their other guy friends. That's very, he's a great time, and he really is into it. So that one scene was very hot. But after that, they like can't really stay away from each other. So they decide to kind of like secretly hook up. But they don't want anything to come mess with their parents' relationship. So I really loved the friendship in this. They had amazing banter. They were like so open with each other. They could even like laugh during like sex, during certain things. Like they just had a really great connection. I thought it was very sweet. This is a very low angst, sweet type of friends to lovers, and I really adored it. I think you can see how their friendship helped them like really open up and fall like deeper for each other. They were like cuddling, holding hands, just like very supportive of each other's like situations. They really knew each other and were like the perfect fit. So I really, really loved that one. Okay, and the last one that I want to bring up was a recent read as well. And this is Broken by the Horde King by Zoey Draven. This is the romance between Kieran and Maeve, and it's one of my favorites in the series. I haven't finished the series yet. I need to. That's one of my goals this year. But I loved this one so much. It was very unique to the other books in the series. I think it was book number 3 or 4. I can't remember. Sorry. But what I loved about this was actually that they were like friends, childhood friends to lovers. And again, I love seeing them as kids, getting those scenes between them where you can see their deep connection to like feelings turning into more. That's what I love about a good childhood friends to lovers. So in this, we have Kieran. He's like basically kind of like they, in the Horde King series, there's usually like hordes. They're like traveling hordes. This was not that type of community, but he is going to be leaving at one point when he gets older to become a Horde King. But this is kind of like this really cute, like seaside community where they're all settled down. He's kind of like the prince of that type of community. And then we have Maeve, and she's actually human. She was found as a child, like near their town, their little settlement. And she ended up getting taken in, and they raised her as their own. They love her just like their other daughter. You know, it's a very beautiful family unit. But she always felt like an outsider. She got bullied because she was the only human in that, you know, community. And Kieran like stepped in quite a few times to like help her. And they just really built this beautiful connection. They had this own secret place, this cave that they would always go to together. And they were just really, really close. But as they got older, Maeve was like falling in love with him. Like she was very in love with him. And she decided to kind of let him know by doing this in a public way, where like women that want to be with him or mate with him or whatever would come up and bring him a drink or whatever. And so she did that. And he was like looking at her like, don't do it. And he basically denied her. So she felt so embarrassed and heartbroken. And then they actually have a private meeting where they're talking about things, and she totally like exposes herself and like throws herself at him, like wanting him, and he denies her again. So that devastated her. That broke her, completely broke her. And so he ended up leaving to become a Horde King, and it's 10 years later, and he has returned because she's actually a healer. She's not the main healer in that community because they really won't let her because she's a human. And so he comes back. He needs a healer for his horde. And so he's taking her with them. And so now it's like Kieran trying to do a really good grovel, like he does an amazing grovel, and show her that he wants her. He has her come as the healer, but really he wants her as his queen, as his woman, and he's ready to grovel and work at getting her back because she built up all these walls after he broke her heart. And so he really has to work for it. And I freaking love that. I love a good groveling romance. I thought that they had such an amazing friendship. And then, yeah, that friendship was kind of broken by what he did, but you see them start to repair that and really get close again. So I just really love this. This is like one of my favorites in that series. You could read it as a standalone, but I think the whole series is great. But this one was just such a sweet childhood friends to lovers, which you can see I love the childhood friends to lovers ones the most. Those are usually my favorite because we actually get to see their relationship evolve. So this one was really beautiful, angsty, slow burn, just a good time. So those are some of my friends to lovers. Again, I have a lot more, but I just wanted to keep this a brief video. So let me know if you want more friends to lovers recs from me, and I will definitely get another video up. Thank you so much for watching this. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys on the next one.